Hi everyone, welcome to the Business for Builders podcast. Welcome to you if you're in YouTube land. Thanks so much for joining me today. My name's Max. I'm the CEO of Smith & Sons Remodeling Experts in Canada. And look, my goal with this podcast is always about giving you guys and girls, and I'm talking mostly to general contractors and contractors alike, about ways to, create a high-performance building company. Essentially, high performance would mean not just making a shit ton of money, although that is part of the goal, but also to create better lifestyle. I think, many of us, we sort of go through the process of many years of just building the business, but we don't get a balance between what might be our goals versus what might be our priorities in life. So if you're building a $5 million business, but your marriage is in trouble, then that's a classic goal and priority misalignment. So there's a little bit of a hot take, a bit of a takeaway to get us started. Today, I'm going to quickly chat about, I'm going to start off by chatting a little bit about, are your clients enduring the process that which you're putting them through, or are they enjoying the process that which you are putting them through? I think, a lot of us, we get pretty excited. And I remember when I won probably the largest project that I ever had to put together, and that was a just shy of $1.1 million townhouse development, and I did that for an investor. And the work that we'd put into that quote was fairly substantial, but certainly, we'd made sure that during that quoting phase that there was a lot of communication. And so, our investor Grace, she was happy with how we had handled her. But I remember saying to my estimator at the time, I said, winning the job is one thing, and making the client happy thus far is one thing, but now the real work starts. And I think where a lot of us GCs, really make an error in our operations, or, I think this should be, part of our awareness program, it's not just signing up the project that where the work, stops as far as client service management. It's got to continue on. And I think a lot of us, we may or may not be we may be the only person in our company, or we might have staff, or we might have superintendents. So what happens is we go and do the hard work in the sales front. We deliver a really top-notch, service, a very much a white glove service. And then when we give it to our superintendents and we leave them in control of, procuring the materials and dealing with the subcontractors and all that sort of stuff, all of a sudden your high-quality service in the sales process starts to be eroded, or the client's experience starts to degrade, because they enjoyed the sales process because they're dealing with the owner of the company, and now of course it gets put in the hands of superintendents, and all of a sudden the quality of the experience starts to degrade. And so, I think you just, really the takeaway is to ensure that, I know that you start out with the best intentions and that you really want to make your clients happy, but we've got to make sure that, we start well, which I think most building company owners do, most contractors do, but we also finish strong. And I talked to a lot of my franchised operators about maintaining that level of service despite how you feel. And I think that's, the client happiness is the focus, and client happiness just in the sales process is not the only focus. I think it's got to remain right from sales through to construction, then after sales service, if that is what is required. So, I think starting well and finishing strong is almost like an integrity trait. Sometimes, and I could talk about different, presidents or whatever, where they've had a lot of charisma, but not a lot of character. And so what we're talking about is trying to have a level of integrity with our clients. Integrity is really defined about, or by what decisions you make when nobody's watching. And I think, for me, I know that in my past and even in my current business, there's things that I will do, even if I've got to send an email at 1:00 in the morning, because I said to that person that I would get you an update. And I think, there is no, newsflash. Clients don't give a rat's ass about how you feel or what's going on in your life. They just give a shit about their project. And so don't ever go to a client, because this is where they're going to start. Clients, you're then forcing the clients now to endure the process. See, I tell all my franchised operators, you are not to go and give them the bullshit negative rundown of what happened to you on the weekend, or that, something negative happened in your life, which is a tragedy, or, is a negative. I get it. But your clients are not your Dr. Phil. They're not your counselor. And so what you need to do is, I tell my guys, you are there to insulate the client from all of the bullshit that happens in the background as it relates to their project, whether that's in sales and you're struggling to get quotes through, or whether it's in construction where you're struggling to get materials. And currently, supply chains are being disrupted all over the place. And so, I think you either make excuses or you become filthy stinking rich. You can't have it both ways. If you're constantly referring to reasons why you can't deliver, then I think that's weakness. That's a defensive move, and we're all about going on the offense and making it happen. And so the delivery to the clients at a top level is not something that you just have an idea about. It's something that you go do. See, the ideas are shit. Execution's the game. I will outplay you simply because I execute better, even if your ideas are better. Yeah, it should worry you, because that's the game. That's really, in essence, how we continue to win year on year, is because we have ideas, we execute, some work, some don't work. Does it hurt us if they don't work? Not really. There's data now that we've gathered on how not to do it. That's a great thing. You can't buy that shit, right? So it's out of the execution and the experience that you get better. But there could be egos attached to all kinds of parts within your business. You just dump the ego, because if you can gather the data, go through the pain, you'll actually, and come out the other side, you'll actually become more wealthy in your understanding on how to operate your business. And of course, here at Smith & Sons, we pride ourselves on having a really recognizable brand, a brand that's international, a very systemized approach to sales and construction. We have good systems, tools, and resources that are within the business. There is mentoring available. Obviously, we do a lot of the marketing. So there's a lot of advantages to what we offer at a Smith & Sons business. But if the operator that wants to argue and debate and wants to question what, that which they've signed up for, then we've got a problem, because it's just not going to work. That's why they're not there to have the ideas. We've got the ideas. We've got the research and development team. We've got plenty of stuff being tested in the field, so that when it comes to tweaking now, we are way ahead of the game. And, obviously I'll talk a little bit about, I like to talk about what's your competitive advantage. I talk about what is the niche that you're focusing on? Is it commercial? Is it residential renovations? Is it new homes? Whatever. But despite what the kind of work that is that you do, are your clients enduring your service, or are they enjoying your service? And I think that's got to be the biggest takeaway. Starting well, finishing strong, that's important. You got to stay focused on the fact that you might have started well, because you can have a lot of charisma, but if you lack the character and you fail to deliver, then that's going to be a problem as well. Part of helping you to be integrous, I think, is learning to systemize. I think people in your business, and I've said this before, businesses are supported by systems, and systems are run by really good human beings that are a great cultural fit to you and your business. And so, when I'm trying to develop a business that's going to go high speed, that's going to be high performance, then what I need to do is I need to systemize the approach. So to give you an example, recently, I think last month, we brought on a franchise support and compliance, because I knew that as the guy that will talk to you about the benefits of buying into a Smith & Sons franchise and some of the features and benefits around the opportunity, I was able to do the sales part. But then as the business grew, and we're probably going to sign up, another franchised operator shortly, that would make 9. And for me to be able to give ongoing support to those operators, I become very thin. So what I had to do is I had to get somebody to take my place in that regard. Furthermore, I had to then systemize a process how I wanted everything measured and managed. So what you do not measure, you cannot manage. So straight away, I jump into putting together, a program on a monthly basis, on a recurring monthly basis, where this is the KPIs that I'm looking for, and this will help me isolate positives and negatives within business. And then, and of course, now we've also got a quarterly financial review process that we go through with each of our operators. And we've just developed, we're just putting together what I call a housekeeping checklist as well, where this happens every week. I need to know. So, I think, accountability is something that is lacking within the building industry, not the ability to make good money. I think the potential to make good money is there if you've got the ability. But the accountability side of it is not there. We go out there and we just do whatever we want essentially, and nobody is going to sort of stop us from doing anything wrong because we're not talking to someone else. We haven't got the coach. We haven't got the mentor. We haven't got the person who's actually going to say, hey, have you ever thought about doing it this way? Or, hey, do you realize if you go and do this, the ramifications are negative and they're going to be this, this, and this. Now, between myself and this support and compliance manager, we have probably the best part of 65 years worth of experience in the building game. Multi-million-dollar businesses between us. And so there's a great resource there. However, you have to be open to learning and you have to be open to change. And so if you're not going to be open to that, then you're going to stagnate. You're going to go around the mountain. 2022 is going to be no different to 2021. And really, I think the other thing the takeaway for today is if you're going to want to develop a high-performance business, you're going to need people and you're going to need to systemize. And that, creating those systems for people to work inside of is super important, because then you get accountability for your staff. And then, of course, that makes them accountable to the process to ensure that they're serving your customers and keep in mind, I'm a corporate. This is the national headquarters for Canada for Smith & Sons. You know who my clients are? My clients are my franchise operators. Like, they want something, they want to talk to me, they just pick the phone up and they talk to me. They're my clients. So this is exactly the same. Whether you're a builder out there dealing with Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, it's the same for me. The difference is you're doing a business to a client relationship. Mine is a business to a business. And yet we dabble in the business to client because it's part of our teaching program. It's part of our manuals and our training when we're talking to construction operators. Look, I think the thing to finish off on will be, a couple of variables of success. I think that as bullish as I am, it's very binary. It's very two-sided. I make no excuses. I work the hardest, I think, or as hard as I can, as much time as I think it's necessary to put into my business. I never make excuses. But I think at times I can be impatient. And I think if you've done all that you can do and you've got everything humming the way you want it to do, then at some point, rather than go, what else do I need to do? Unless you haven't got a coach, that's going to leave you with a bit of a blind spot or a blank space where you're going, well, I've done everything I could do and it's still not working, right? That's a whole different can of worms that you need to open. But, if you're doing everything right and your marketing is good and your messaging is good and your website's looking rock and roll and your lead management process is good and your quoting and estimating is good and your contract administration is good, your construction managers is great. Like, if all of these boxes are ticked, then at some point you've got to keep doing that and be patient and just wait for it to come to you. It's definitely a variable of success that I believe in. There's so much that you can do to create success. If you're a farmer, then you go and plant corn. You can't go there the next day and dig it up and go, what the hell? Why is there not corn in the field? Now it's a patience game. You've done all you can do. All you can do is what I would say is nurture the process. And that way, that will eventually, because there is a natural process that has to happen. And sometimes we think that we can grow faster than really what we can grow into. For me, it's been an evolutionary process whereby, in 2015, we discussed launching this brand for real in this country. And, I think about my learning process all the way from that first email or Skype call or whatever it was to now, having employed, 4 new folks this year, another one to come next year, possibly another 2 already that we've talked about. I think my capacity, it has to enlarge, and your capacity will have to enlarge because you're not the person today that you need to be in 2 years to manage the business that you dream about. And I think that's key. That's key to patience. It's like you've got to give yourself time to grow as well. I think self-development is a big deal. On our, I've got, probably, a dozen or more books that are sitting on our conference room table as a reminder to my guys and gals when they come into my boardroom that, self-development is a major part of us developing as leaders. If we are going to be leadership, then we have to, be open to the process of becoming or being a good student in perpetuity. I know that a lot of my guys and a lot of my staff, they're under my watch, but they're under my leadership, and so I've got an obligation to them to be the best leader that I can be. So that means I've got to be constantly investing in myself. I know builders and construction guys and gals aren't the most, academic types, but I'm telling you, the more you learn, the more you earn. The reason I sit here today is probably because I'm the oldest, and I've done the most things and made the most mistakes. But I tell you where I win is that I'm unrelenting in my attitude to learning, and I'm unrelenting in my attitude to getting better, and I'm unrelenting in my attitude towards building the biggest building in town. And, we're not going to be the largest renovation brand in Canada or North America for that matter, just because we had a good idea. We put a plan together, we execute on the fly, we make adjustments on the fly, and we get results because we are literally focusing on legacy over currency. I know the stats of individual cities around Canada. I'm not really focused on the states at this point, but it'll be the same, probably 10x. And there's so much potential there. The potential and the opportunity is not what I'm sitting here with my question. My question is, how do I find the ninjas that are dying to get into my business to become better operators? It's not a case of if, it's just a matter of when it'll happen. And so this is why I've got to stay true to myself as an operator, and so do you. If you jump out of bed every morning because you want to make clients happier, then I think that's a great thing, because it's gonna make you feel good for starters, and your happiness is the most important. Like I started talking out, if your marriage is on the rocks but you're doing a $10 million business, then perhaps you've got to realign some of those goals and priorities. But if you're jumping out of bed every morning because you love what you do, that's a great place to start. And then it comes back into the operational thing. And I think if you embrace the challenge of learning, the challenge of growth, it certainly is that's gonna add to your enjoyment, because I love uncovering. And I'll be honest with you, there's things that we do in the business today that I couldn't have thought about before, but they've sort of happened as we've put one foot in front of the other. And I often say this, that you walk a mile and then you see a mile. It doesn't all just come to you in one. You couldn't handle the truth. If it all come and just dumped and it was a big download, you wouldn't know how to process it. It'd probably demoralize you and beat you up anyway. So I think just being hungry for incremental growth steps is a good way to start. And honestly, for me, I don't beat myself up either. I know the business is going to grow. I've just got to be patient. And I think, awareness, you really got to ask yourself the question, what am I good at? I would say this, I don't even think I'm the best builder. I would say that I'm a better business owner than I am a builder. I think there's a lot of guys within the Smith & Sons group, both in Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, who are by far better builders than I. There's no question. But when it comes to doing what I believe I'm called to do today, which is to wear this CEO badge, where my strength is leading a group of builders. And so this is where I could beat myself up, and I would constantly go back into wanting to be a builder, because that's what I am. I'm a qualified carpenter and a builder. But really, I identified where my strengths are. I love to develop business. A business development mandate is one that I love to do. I would spend 7 days a week in the office if that's what I had to do, and not complain once, because I just love the refinement process, the systemizing approach to business, the human resource development. I love having team around me, and I'll certainly love to see new general contractors come into the business and develop a business, and then look at me and go, Max, this just would not have happened if I didn't, align myself and join forces with the Smith & Sons brand. Thanks for your attention. It's been a little bit longer than 3 or 4 minutes, which I thought we were going to roll out. But look, if you've got any questions, hit me in the comments below. You can email me at max@businessforbuilders.ca. You can text me on 250-241-8866. What else can you do? You can like and subscribe. You can share this information with another builder that you might know that might need a little bit of a hand up. But it's certainly been great spending time with you again, and I look forward to doing it again soon. Have a great day. Go build a kick-ass business. See you next time.